Hello everyone, I am Siddharth Mishra. So before joining XIM Bhubaneswar, I was working with TCS for 4 years, and before that I completed my undergraduate in electrical engineering from ITR Bhubaneswar. About my role in Tiger Analytics, it was a very interesting one. I was taken in a very interesting time where Tiger was expanding globally, and I was given multiple markets like London, Singapore, Canada to explore these markets and develop growth strategies for these markets. So my role basically involved around finding what are the analytics opportunities in these markets and how can we best leverage those opportunities for expanding Tiger into these geographies. Yeah, about prerequisites, I think the most important prerequisite which helped me a lot was the domain knowledge. Since I was from the IT background and I had a little bit of knowledge about digital analytics and how these markets are expanding, so it really helped me to develop growth or sales strategies for those markets. Now it's very important that you understand all the basic necessities before going into an internship. For example, you should know the research methodologies, you should know basic Excel, and you should understand the industry or the domain that you are venturing into. Otherwise it gets a bit difficult. So these are the few things that really helped me do fine at my internship. So, when you're evaluating a management intern, I believe that with all these companies, the first thing that they look is that are you culturally fit in this organization? You might be someone who is doing good with the work, who is logging a lot, but you are not culturally fit. So it all depends on the complete attitude of the person because they are taking you for a management position. Someone with good analytical skills, good people skills, good attitude, and an inclination towards achieving something good or something great for the organization should do. This is what moreover they look. Yeah. So as I already mentioned, the time where I moved into Tiger Analytics, that time was very crucial. It's because it was expanding globally and the analytics market was at an all-time high. So within just 2 months of time, I developed strategies for three different geographic locations, and all of those were quite appreciated. Now the idea was to understand the firm because it was a very growing business. They were a startup, but now they moved into a middle business, a short business. So the whole idea was that you find out what are the opportunities that can be leveraged in these markets, give them the different strategies, at the same time assist the leadership in getting those businesses for Tiger Analytics. I think it does a lot. For me, it has helped me even crack my first job out of XIM Bhubaneswar because the things that I worked on was a practical experience of what I would be doing in my next job. I was given a lot of exposure in a time span of 2 months. I was exposed to the senior leadership, their management skills. I was directly working with the chief sales officer, which gave me a lot of exposure to this analytics world. So I think it complements a lot to the academic world. In the first year, we read a lot of core courses, but the area where you implement it and you check that are you fit into that business is this internship. So it has supplemented a lot for my career as well. Uh, During our time, it was a bit difficult since we were online, and we really expected that we get into that hustle environment of Tiger Analytics, where the team of very highly motivated 500 individuals working day in and night, along with the senior leadership in the same office. But unfortunately, we did not get that exposure. However, we did not let it come our way of performing good in the company. So there were multiple induction programs that were held, a lot of team activities that were being held. At the same time, it was a very flat structure and everyone was very approachable. So the idea was that you work Monday to Friday with your mentors. Over the weekend or maybe early Monday, you connect with other mentors and the senior leadership as well, and everyone was quite approachable, plus the teams that we had from different B schools. So we all sat down over after the work hours, and we finalized that this is how we are going to go. We are going to work as a team, and I think that collaborative nature, even in an online mode, because we were used to online 1 year already, so that really helped. I had a work ex of 4 years before I joined XIM Bhubaneswar. It definitely gave me an edge over others because I had a lot of domain knowledge. I understood how an organization, especially the IT or analytics or the digital space, works. I also understood that how a team works and how the management is approachable. All this definitely gave me an edge over others. But I would also like to highlight that even if you are a fresher, it all matters is that how much passion you have to do that particular job, and how interactive or how good are you with people skills. So I think it's a combination of both experience and your soft skills that makes you a better intern than others. I think it definitely gives you an edge because analytics it's something that is there in every industry. You take it media, you take it telecommunications, you take it banking, or you take it the general IT space. Analytics is everywhere, and because of the COVID-19 pandemic as well, the need for analytics has grown exponentially. So my analytics exposure definitely got augmented a lot, and I was not only interested in that, but I also learned that this is the best way to give a rise to any business that is possible in today's world, be it a startup, be it the biggest fortune 500 companies, or anyone. Analytics is there definitely. If they are not in analytics, they are not in business. So it really augmented my interest towards analytics, and at the same time cross domain knowledge also helped me a lot. The whole idea was to always give them more than what is expected out of you. So whenever I was being asked to research about a particular geography, be it London or be it Singapore, so what I did was that I took up other geographies also which are near to them. The reason I did that was that because I understood that today if they're expanding to UK, tomorrow they might expand to Europe as well. So if there is another geography that is in the proximity of the previous geography and there's a lot of commonalities in the requirements, so they would obviously need that data, at least some bit of it now, to judge whether they can venture into that part later. So what I always did was that I stood one step ahead of what was required out of me, and I think that helped me a lot in my journey. I think as far as 2 months was concerned, we did not really feel that it was 60 days. The whole journey was very smooth, and the whole team of Tiger Analytics also made sure that in the very short span, the candidates get a lot of exposure. The key takeaways would be that how do you grow a business exponentially in just 2 years? How do you double your employee strength in just 2 years? And when we were hearing out their senior leadership talk about their vision and how they want to take analytics to every part of the world, every corner of the world, and in the most affordable and cheap prices, that was something was my biggest takeaway, that how do you grow so much in so less time? Because you have good knowledge about the industry, you have good knowledge about the people who are doing their business. So they basically understood the whole of business, and then they ventured into it. So for a management student, I think that is the biggest takeaway. You need to understand how a business works completely, then just focusing on one part of the business. I think the only advice would be that you be passionate about what you're doing. If you're being put into something and they believe that you can do it, you have the courage to do it. Always give extra than what is expected from you. And the most important thing I would like to give as an advice to the upcoming interns is that connect to people, reach out to people throughout the organization. Even if you are put into one particular business, understand how the complete business works and understand how people from different B schools. This is your best area to network, and I think that's the best piece of advice anyone can give.
Hi everyone, this is Manisha Satpathy, and today I'm here to talk about my internship with TCS. So I interned with TCS as the RSI division, which is called Retail Strategy Initiative. Me and Justin, we were two interns there, and we had a fun 2 months. Okay, yeah, thank you. So, yes, I do have a prior work ex. I was working with Accenture for 4 years before joining XIMB. And believe me, it has worked in my favor throughout my experience with the before I started my internship and during my internship period also, because it has helped me a lot in I understood what the requirement was and what the management wanted from me, and I could deliver it at the point because I had an experience of how to do the same things earlier. So yeah, it has worked for me in my favor. Uh, yeah, that's a good question, and I think a lot of us, we were very skeptical because this was the first time that SIP was, I mean, fully online, and we had a lot of questions of how it can be. So one thing that I faced and that I recognize, that it is good to do some groundwork about the company, about what your role is, what kind of work TCS is doing in that field. Like, I was interning in the retail division, so I looked up of what TCS was doing in the retail division, of what innovations they were starting with, or what kind of projects they had. So yeah, it is, whenever you are starting with a company or you are going for a new division, it's important that you do some groundwork about what the company is doing in that division, and it's very important also to keep yourself updated about the new technologies, because there were many different projects in with the with RSI division, and a lot of people worked on cutting edge technologies also, like, quantum computing, and all those areas were explored. So it is important that you have some basic knowledge of all the cutting edge technologies before joining your internship. Every company has different metrics, and for evaluation of interns, so TCS also has a set of metrics. Okay, so during we had two evaluation phases in our internship. So there was a mid review, and there is a final review that happens. So during before our mid review and our final review, our mentor, they gave us a set of metrics on which we would be judged. So it was like the content of your presentation, the kind of work that you have done, your project, what it required, and the amount of interactions you had with your team, with your mentor, and how much you have contributed, how much you have taken initiative. So those are the kind of skills, or those are the kind of metrics that most of the companies look for, and it is kind of homogeneous throughout. So this is TCS specific, but for any other company also, it will be similar. So that was our main evaluation pattern. So as I mentioned, we had two reviews. We had a mid review, we had a final review. So in that, what happened is, the mid review happens at the end of 1 month. So whatever work that you have done in your specific project, so that you have to make mostly it is a presentation. Sometimes it happens in front of the entire team. So your team will be there, and the entire team of the project of RSI was there. So you have to present your project or half of your project through that. So after that, the remaining 1 month of work that you do, the entire project you have to present in your final review. So that will also happen. That happens at the end of the 2 months. Yes, I do believe that it is important that you have some kind of cross domain knowledge, because when you get into, suppose I was working for RSI, right? But my project specifically was on supply chain. So I worked for RSI, but I was working in the supply chain division. So I had to have some. I was lucky that I have worked in supply chain before, so I had knowledge of that domain. But it is important that you search about different domains and what kind of projects are there, are going on in that particular domain, and have some basic knowledge. It's important to have some basic knowledge of different domains, and as I mentioned before also, it is important that you guys have some exposure to the latest technologies and what kind of work or innovation is happening currently in the market. Yeah, that happened. So this was before my final review. So my mid review was really good. And my mentor communicated to me that the entire project team had very high expectations from the final review. So the requirement that I had at the starting of my project was a very straightforward. I was working about this a sustainable supply chain management. So, but the requirement changed just before my final review. So it was like 2 weeks to my final review, and the management told me that they wanted me to look at different angles with the project that I was doing. So I was told to search about e-commerce and what e-commerce can do, and what how the customer perspective is on sustainability, and how customers can contribute to that. So I was also told to look about that, and there were few more additions that during that time. So yeah, that put a bit of pressure, because I had my review in a week, and I had to do those things from scratch. I had to research about that, and I also had to take some primary and secondary research. Both I had to do. So I had to make some calls, and so those things happen. And I think it is important that you be that a person be that flexible, because you never know when your requirements are going to change, or when you're going to add new requirements to your project. So yeah, it happens, and it will happen. It might happen to you guys also. So be prepared, be flexible. Whatever is the requirement of the project or of the management, just go with it and say that, yeah, you, even if you don't know what it is, but you will put in effort to make sure that whatever the requirement is, you will deliver it. That's it. Yeah, sure. So, my project for RSI, so as I mentioned before, that I worked for the supply chain division of RSI. So, my project was about net zero supply chain. With major focus on the fashion industry. So this was a major change for me, because I had never worked for fashion industry before, and I had no idea also about how the industry works. And as you guys would know, the sustainability is a very new concept. It is on paper it's been there for a very long time, but in practical reality, it is in a very nascent stage. So my project was that how I can what we can do to make fashion industry more sustainable, and how we can make sustainability a part of each and every aspect of supply chain. So initially I worked on how is there a way that we can achieve a net zero supply chain, is that even possible? And then later on my project evolved into how fashion industry has been contributing to so much of pollution, and so much of it's one of world's biggest pollutants, cause of pollution in water, in special water pollution and air pollution. So how can we, is there a way that we can make fashion more sustainable? Is it possible? Has there been examples all over the world where it is happening? Then also my project requirement was also there, that how can customers be a part of this initiative? Can customers do something to make sure that the supply chain becomes more sustainable? Can customers be a part of the initiative? Can customers contribute in a way? And also I had to put some recommendations from my end of what I think can be done to make this to make you know our supply chain, or any supply chain, or how can what can we do to make sure that we live in a more sustainable way, or we are purchasing what we purchase, that will reflect in a more sustainable manner. We can do that. So yeah, it was not an easy journey for me, because the concept was new, and there were very few practical examples of things that have been done. But I got to learn a lot. I mean, it was a completely new industry. It was a completely new concept. So I discussed with my mentors very regularly. They gave me a lot of information. They gave me a lot of articles to read, a lot of material. So I got to learn a lot of new concepts, a lot of new innovations that I had no idea has been going around in the world. So it was a really great learning experience. Yeah, so the major learning that I can give for you is that be prepared for anything. Be prepared for anything, and don't constrict yourself. we always tend to constrict ourselves and think that, this is what we know, this is what we have learned, this is what our requirement in the JD was, that the JD was like this, so we will be doing this. So don't constrict yourself to the JD, don't constrict yourself to your idea of what you think the role is. So be flexible, be very flexible, be very open. There might be changes in requirement, and I think some of you might have your internship offline also, because we had it completely online, all of us. So that is a different experience. The way that you get to interact with your peers, the interaction that you have with your mentors. So you will learn a lot, especially just by interacting with people. So be open to interaction also. MBA is known for networking is nothing but talking to people. So if you get a chance to do that, if you get a chance to go out and talk to the people who are working there, who have 10 years 15 years of experience on you, that is a great learning experience. So go out, interact with people, get to know what is happening in the industry, in the market, and just be open, enjoy your experience.